Lately, I've been thinking about a question that keeps coming up in my comments, and not just from beginners, but from people who've been flying for years. Would I still start with the DJI Mini 5 Pro after everything I've experienced so far and after reading all of your comments? Because since I posted my first videos, something interesting happened. The drone community didn't just welcome me, it started debating with me. People flying the Neo, the Mini 3, Mini 4, Mini 4K, FPV pilots, cinematic flyers, everyone had a slightly different take. And instead of confusing me, it actually helped me understand something important about starting with a drone. So this video isn't a review and it's not me telling you what you should buy. It's me reflecting honestly on whether the Mini 5 Pro was still the right starting point for me and in which cases I'd actually recommend something else. When I first bought the Mini 5 Pro, my reasoning was very personal. I talk about it more in depth in my first video, but in short, I wanted something cinematic, portable, capable, and future-proof enough that I wouldn't outgrow it in 2 months. I didn't want a toy, but I also didn't want something so complex that it would intimidate me out of flying. At that moment, the Mini 5 Pro felt like the perfect middle ground. But then the comments started coming in. Some people said, "You chose the right drone, you'll grow into it." Others said, "I would have started cheaper." Some new users said, "I learned faster because I wasn't afraid to crash." FPV pilots said, "That's a cinematic drone, not a trainer." And experienced flyers said something that really stuck with me. The best beginner drone depends more on your personality than on the specs. And that's what we're going to focus more on here. Everybody can read the specs of different drone and decide for themselves. But that sentence changed how I look at this question, because the more I fly, the more I realized the Mini 5 Pro didn't just shape my footage, it shaped how I learned. So starting with the Mini 5 Pro didn't magically make me deliberate from day one. And I think that's important to say honestly. As you've seen in my previous flights and videos, I have made careless mistakes. I didn't always check conditions as well as I should have. And some of these decisions definitely came back to stress me out. But that's exactly the point. Making those mistakes made something very clear to me. I don't actually want to learn through constant crashes and panic. I don't enjoy that kind of learning. When something goes wrong, my reaction isn't "great, lesson learned, let's do it again." It's "okay, how do I avoid putting myself in this situation next time?" So over time, the Mini 5 Pro just pushed me toward slowing down, thinking twice, and being more intentional, not because I was perfect, but because I felt the cost of not being prepared. And that aligns much more with how my brain works. I want to understand why something works before pushing it further. I want to feel calm while flying, not constantly on edge. I want confidence to build gradually, not through 5 crashes just to get comfortable. So for that kind of learner, the Mini 5 Pro still makes sense. But, and this is important, I also fully understand now why some of you recommended starting with something like the Neo 2 or a cheaper practice drone instead, because not everyone learns the same way. A lot of new users in the comments said something along the lines of, "I learned faster because I wasn't afraid." And that's a very real advantage. When you fly a drone with prop guards or something that feels more forgiving, your nervous system behaves differently. You try more things, you experiment more freely, you don't freeze as much when something unexpected happens. And that kind of freedom can accelerate learning, especially for people who learn by doing, not by analyzing. I can see now that if someone is very anxious, very hesitant, or constantly worried about damaging their drone, starting with a Neo or a cheaper drone might actually unlock more flight time, and more flight time equals more learning. And I'm sure I would be calmer if I had the Neo 2, for example, but I also think that this would have trained me to be less careful in the long run. So would I recommend a Neo 2 or a cheaper drone instead? Yes, for certain people. If you want to practice indoors or in tight spaces, if you want to build muscle memory without stress, if you learn the best through repetition and mistakes, or if you feel blocked by fear of damaging an expensive drone. Then starting smaller, safer and cheaper makes a lot of sense. At the same time, something else became very clear to me from the comments, especially from more experienced pilots. A lot of you said that you still fly your mini drones years later, not because you have to, but because you want to. And that tells me something important. The Mini 5 Pro isn't just a beginner drone, it's a drone you can grow with. And I'm already seeing that. As my flying improves, the drone doesn't become limiting, it becomes more capable. Features I ignored in the beginning now make more sense. Settings that felt overwhelming now feel empowering. And the drone hasn't changed. I have. Maybe a little bit, not too much, but it's still a change. It was high time that I have made some progress. And for me, that's where the Mini 5 Pro really shines. It allows you to start simple, but it doesn't trap you at a beginner level. And something else that experienced pilots pointed out, and I think this is a fresh angle that doesn't get talked about enough, is that starting with a more capable drone can shape your taste. When you begin with a drone that produces clean, stable, high-quality footage, your eye gets trained differently. You start caring about smoothness, light, timing, composition. Look at me talking about those stuff like a professional. So you don't just focus on did it fly, you focus on did it feel right. And that's very important for anyone interested in cinematic flying. So if your goal is storytelling, visuals, mood, not tricks, not speed, not FPV adrenaline, starting with a cinematic-oriented drone makes more sense. And that's why after reading all your comments and flying more myself, my answer is this. Yes, I would still start with the DJI Mini 5 Pro, but I would start with more awareness. So if I were advising a friend today, I wouldn't say buy this drone, I'd ask questions. For example, how do you handle stress? Do you learn by experimenting or by observing? Do you want freedom or control? Are you more excited by movement or by visuals? Do you want to crash and learn or avoid crashing and understand first? What matters is not what you start with. In my opinion, it's whether your drone supports the way you learn. That's my main conclusion so far. So I'm really curious now. If you could start with a different drone, would you still make the same choice today? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, your perspectives are what made this reflection possible in the first place. Thank you to anyone taking the time to share their experience, lessons, mistakes, etc. Always a pleasure to read your comments, and see you in the next one, and happy holidays.